Children of Ruin is the sequel to Adrian Tchaikovsky's critically acclaimed and award-winning sci-fi novel, Children of Time. If you want to see my review for that, there is a link down below in the doobly-doo. It is one of my older reviews, one of my older videos, so excuse, well, pretty much everything about it. Just like that review though, this will be spoiler-free for both of the books. Children of Time focused on two main points of view. These being a human colonization ship that is being sent to a new planet and the genetically altered sentient spiders that reside on the aforementioned planet. Both of these perspectives took place over many lifetimes due to different reasons, and they explored many themes such as nature versus nurture, the transfer of knowledge, communication and translation, what makes something sentient, and it also explores the idea of a society that is based on radical matriarchy. The highly idea-focused and often philosophical nature of Children of Time give me a classic sci-fi feel dressed in modern sci-fi trappings. Children of Ruin continues this willingness to engage in a philosophical debate and discussion and to run with ideas. It explores them thoroughly and with great complexity through two different timelines, both a past and a present timeline, as well as through the eyes of multiple different species. Tchaikovsky has an ability to write non-human perspectives in a way that feel both entirely alien and yet entirely plausible. Large portions of these perspectives lack traditional dialogue, and yet somehow we don't get bogged down. It's quite remarkable, to be honest. The chance to get inside the brain of something that thinks in a way that is utterly different to me is actually why I love speculative fiction altogether. Fantasy and sci-fi enable us to see different perspectives without the labels and the baggage of the world around us. And for me, Children of Time does this in a unique and a fascinating way. It's one of the reasons I enjoyed this and its predecessor so thoroughly. These alien perspectives though, and their lack of traditional dialogue, could definitely be a sticking point for some people. It's not a traditional read, and it can feel pretty detached from the characters. I didn't finish this book with a deep connection to any of the characters really. If anything, the character work is probably its weakest part. However, that's actually totally fine for me. Tchaikovsky is writing an idea-heavy science fiction that grapples with big topics and big themes, and the character work kind of takes a back seat, and that's okay. If you do want to focus on character work, go and read Guns of the Dawn by Tchaikovsky. That's not what he's doing here. Here he's focusing on ideas. With that being said, there were, however, a couple of standout characters for me, both of them from the timeline that was exploring the past. The characters that we follow in that timeline are a terraforming crew, and they are left to decide what to do in unexpected circumstances. The choices they make are understandable to me, their motives are pretty clear, and yet they are decidedly unique individuals and they have pretty interesting quirks. Tchaikovsky portrays some of their narcissistic and their self-important traits very well, leaving them in their heavily flawed protagonist camp. The present day perspective is following a group of characters we meet towards the end of Children of Time. This is a group that is rather varied and it adds a level of contrast to the other timeline. Tchaikovsky manages to weave these two stories together excellently. He's always giving us just enough information in the sections when we're in the past to inform our thinking throughout the next set of present sections. The world building itself is a logical extension of what we saw in Children of Time. It works well and it is slightly expanded, but there's little to nothing that's actually a groundbreaking addition to the world building. The different locale does add an interesting flavour to what we've seen previously, and the original concept of a small group of humans exploring the cosmos and lacking knowledge of basic things, even things such as if the Earth is even still alive, that still had a gripping element to it without feeling really unique. Now let's talk about prose. Prose is always controversial as it is so personal in what we love or hate about it. Personally, I think the prose here is solid considering the limitations that the story is placing upon it. The third person perspective is normally limited-ish with some omniscient features, and that viewpoint does provide us a bit of distance from the characters, which gives us a balanced chance to reflect and consider what is being discussed throughout the narrative, and that really worked for me. but I accept that it really won't work for many other people. There is a small amount of first-person prose that appears for the odd short chapter here or there. This viewpoint is very esoteric and eccentric, by far the most of anyone in this book, and similarly it may not work for you. Thankfully it is short and it doesn't show up too often, and I actually believe the payoff from those first-person sections are more than worth any struggle that they are to read. I think the payoff is great. To conclude, the character work is decent if somewhat secondary to the main thrust of the book. The world building is a good expansion from book one. Where Children of Ruin excels, though, is the exploration of thought in non-human species, in engaging with philosophical issues raised by huge technological and scientific jumps. And here it really does excel. The strength of the theming alone made this a 5-star read for me. Everything else was just gravy. And all I can say is bring on Children of Memory, book 3, if that ever does get published. I really love this series. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button so more people can see it. And if you're looking for more sci-fi series, check out my favourite sci-fi from last year in this video up here, the Should I Read video. It's a duology. It's by Arcady Martin. And spoiler alert, yes, I think you should read it. If you want to know why, check out the video. Hopefully, I'll see you guys again soon.